Samantha Colosimo Testa is on the line right now. Last night they had a meeting, the Common Council in the city of Utica, and it's all about the budgeting. And your proposal was that instead of a 2% tax decrease, that it is just no tax increase, and that money is put towards paving. Do I have that right, Samantha?
Yeah, guys, not for nothing, but if somebody ever wrote me in for mayor and I didn't want to be mayor, I'd be so pissed off.
Yeah, I think
imagine that.
Listen, there's going to be some angry people come tonight at 9 o'clock.
Because they have to accept the position.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, if you get elected.
I know, but still, here's your life perfectly fine one day, and then, hey, you're mayor of Poland.
Yeah. Yep, mayor of Poland. Now I'm going to have to move there.
Wow, some warning shots from Samantha this morning. What's your worst nightmare, being mayor of Poland? I don't know what I would do.
Guys, I mean, if I wanted to stay involved in politics, I would move to Poland. You know
right,
what I mean?
that'd be the place. You'd have a pretty good chance of getting in today, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
Samantha, you are not running for re-election, though, right?
No, I'm not. I couldn't be too hypocritical running for my seat that I fought against term limits for, so I'm just going to bow out and just aggravate people for the next 6 months. So.
All right. Well, talk about your what you want to do with this budget process and paving.
Sure, guys. Well, I mean, if you look at our budget, obviously this is my 8th budget year, and this particular budget came with a tax decrease from the fact that we had a one-time revenue shot from the sale of taxes. From the sale of property inside the city. So next year we're not going to have that same revenue. Obviously, we can't sell another house for the same house twice. So,
right.
Well, if our budget stayed the same, we would be looking at a $600,000 deficit for next year's budget. So, to give a 2% decrease this year, we would already be at a 2% decrease next year. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what I did was, instead of lowering taxes, obviously it's an election year because they just raised taxes 8% last year.
Right. It's funny how that works.
I think we got it down to about 5%, and even with the budget amendments that I had, we hit it down to 1.5 because I had a feeling that this, obviously being an election year, it was going to come to either decreasing taxes or having a 0% tax increase. So what I did was, obviously, because like I said, they're using the excuse that it came from a one-time revenue shot, was to put that money towards paving more roads. I mean, I could tell you that the biggest complaint that I've had in the past several weeks was roads. I mean, I think I hit 33 potholes on the way to my meeting yesterday. So I think that when you're decreasing taxes, when your infrastructure is crumbling like that, is just totally absurd.
Yeah.
And obviously $600,000 isn't going to pave the whole city. I'm not oblivious to that.
Sure.
But I think that if it's one less pothole that somebody hits, that gets a flat tire, I think that we're moving in the right direction. So,
can I ask you, why did in your opinion, why did the mayor veto the paving plan?
Because I don't think it was his idea, to be quite honest with you. That's all. That's the only thing that I could actually think of.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make any other sense.
Because he's doing this paving thing. The difference, is, correct me if I'm wrong, this filling the pothole stunt is just basically patching potholes. So
that's all it is cold asphalt. Asphalt
right.
plants aren't open.
Next year, it's going to be...
Listen, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't disagree with filling potholes. I mean, obviously,
right.
It's between the weather, it's not going to last. You know what I mean?
It's not going to last.
Is repairing something until
right. Cold. I think they call it cold patch, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Cold patch, right? Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously because the asphalt plants don't open until
right.
end of April, early May. So you can't. It's not like we have the opportunity to pave roads right this
yes.
second.
Yeah.
So. But we did have the pothole filler. Remember? I don't remember. You remember that we had it years ago.
Yeah.
Repairing lines throughout the year would definitely be helpful. I mean, putting down hot asphalt to repair that would make more sense towards the end of the year. But again, I mean, like I said, if we had nothing else to do left in the city and you wanted to give a tax decrease, fine. But I mean, to give a 2% tax decrease, which equates to 57 cents per $1,000.
Right.
So if your house is assessed at $50,000, you're getting like a $26 rebate. Again, when you drive down the street and it costs you $270 to fix your rotation.
And your belief is that the original paving plan would have focused on first priority, what should be paved first, but also how do you correct the problem long-term versus a quick cold patch?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the paving plan being implemented is. obviously we haven't seen a plan, and that's our biggest bone of contention since the paving plan has been implemented. But you've also got to remember, in the past 20 years before our paving plan was voted on and supported by the people, because it wasn't like we just implemented this without, any type of support. But they've paved 17 miles of roads in 23 years. We have 212 miles of roads.
Yeah.
So it's not like this problem for us started overnight. I mean, it started from the lack of investment in our infrastructure over the past 30 to 40 years.
We have we have a woman that called in to Andrew and said that she's lived at her house for 30 years and it has never ever been paved.
30. That's probably in good condition still compared to some of our roads. Some of our roads probably haven't been paved since they first laid asphalt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, and that's, like I said, that's the issue. I mean, if in the past 20 years before our paving plan was implemented, so I think since 2017, I think we've paved close to 30 miles of roads now.
Wow. Yeah.
Inside the city compared to 17 miles in the past 23 years prior to that.
Yep.
So, I mean, again, there was a guy that I think President Roosevelt was still around before the time the last road was paved.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a blatant. I should say,
yeah.
I just a blatant ignoring of the roads inside the city, and that's all it comes down to.
I think President Roosevelt was actually helped pour the first bit of tar on that road.
Without a doubt. I mean, I'm sure it was like Herkimer Road on the Upper East Side, but it's all you kid around and we laugh, but it's literally serious. I mean, somebody's going to end up falling into Australia at some point in time. By the time they get.
Do you Can you give me some procedural update here? Number one, do you if the council approves this measure, can it be vetoed by the mayor? Is it a done deal at this point? What do you?
No, it could definitely be vetoed by the mayor.
Okay.
Do I think that it would? I mean, I couldn't tell you at this point in time, but again, I mean, I just don't know how anybody could say no. I don't want to pave additional roads. I mean, also on top of the fact that we do borrow up to $2.5 million for our paving plan right now. So, why wouldn't you lower your borrowing tax burden, and invest that $600,000 into that?
Well,
it just doesn't make sense to me why we're lowering taxes when we've got way too much work to do here inside the city.
Okay. I did wish I lived in Utica because I'd love to get my hands on that $26. Paul is on the line on Cold Patch.
You could use it. What is that? What was that commercial before? I got on you guys got on the air that it's like the little blue pill. You could use the $26 to buy that.
Thanks for that, Samantha. According to Dave Gordon, I don't need any blue pill. I'm just doing just fine out there. Paul, you're on the radio with Samantha Colosimo. Paul, you're on.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Samantha.
Good morning.
My comment is the cold patch. There are tons of potholes in Utica. But a lot of places that is just not going to work because I noticed on Columbia Street, underneath the 1-inch layer of pavement is the original red paver bricks.
Wow.
Brick.
From when our streets were made of cobblestone.
Yeah.
And you guys kid around about Roosevelt, but the situation is some of the neighborhoods in Utica still have cobblestones underneath them. They're not cement-based. And they're never going to be able to be repaired that way. They have to be replaced.
Yeah.
And as a taxpayer, I'm against anything that raises our taxes. So I guess I kind of got my head in the sand like an ostrich because that's not going to happen, and that's not the way our city is going to move forward.
Right.
But some of the streets have to be replaced.
Right. Well, this goes way. Paul, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go because I know that Samantha's got to go as well. Listen,
thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you. He's right, Samantha. Right? He's correct.
Right, and that's what a part of our paving plan does. So it doesn't just repair. It just doesn't repair roads. I mean, we go through total reconstruction, and obviously, not all roads do need to be, totally reconstructed. I mean, we're well aware of that, So that's why when we did implement the paving plan, part of the paving plan, and we went through the bid specs. We sat down with Atlantic Testing. We no longer use recycle paving. We're up to the grade of the New York State and federal regulations on paving, and so those are some of the things that we sat down and we implemented with the paving plan. But again, the asphalts don't open until April or May.
Sure.
So our paving specs should be out pretty soon.
Okay.
To go out to bid. So, again, not like I said, not all roads are just that's cold patch, So when we get into our paving plan that is, most of it's total reconstruction and downright,
All right,
lifting it up and repairing the roads.
I know you got to head off to school, Samantha. We appreciate it. Samantha Colosimo, Testa.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much. Have a good day.
You too. We'll do it again.